Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Thanks for all you coming out in this weather. My name is James Hiatt. I'm with the Louisiana Bucket Brigade. We're here in downtown Lake Charles. The plan originally was to be outside, but unfortunately the weather today is not cooperating, and as you well know, it's quite a downpour. We're here today specifically to mark the anniversary, the 2-year anniversary of Hurricane Laura that came ashore in 2020. It's also the week that several other hurricanes, we mark the remembrance of that, because we have Hurricane Ida, Hurricane Katrina. Actually, the other day was Hurricane Harvey that came just to the west of us. So we're here in Lake Charles because we're 2 years out from having this storm. And what we have going on is a lot of recovery still needs to take place. As you go around this town, you will see that people are still not in their houses. The 2-year anniversary also marks the time the insurance forms, the insurance claims has to be turned in and dealt with before the 2-year anniversary. So this time right now is very critical for so many people here, and the rain that came down reminds so many people of the insanity of the storms that we had in 2020. We had Hurricane Laura, followed 6 weeks later by Hurricane Delta, followed a few months later by Winter Storm Uri, followed by a crazy random Monday in May where we had a flooding event that started off similar to how today started. The entire city basically ended up underwater. We're here to talk also about what's being proposed in Southwest Louisiana. We currently have 3 of the gas export terminals, the LNG facilities that export the natural gas, the methane that is produced by fracking, is exported overseas, mostly to Asia. And so what we have is 3 already in Southwest Louisiana, and they have plans to put 7 more. It's really just insanity to try to place these facilities directly in the eyes of storms that keep coming. And right here we have just a mark of what's going on the coast of Louisiana. This is the facility, Venture Global's Calcasieu Pass, which is located on the right at the mouth of the Calcasieu River. We have to have an understanding that we have coastal erosion already happening, and we have these storms that keep coming stronger and more fierce. What this photo marks is not only the facility around Calcasieu River, but also the land loss that we've experienced. The scientists tell us that if we continue to pump greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, we will continue to see global warming and climate change in a way that will make sea level rise a terrible thing for Louisiana and its flat coast. And it looks like we'll have over 2 feet of sea level rise on the coast of Louisiana, which if you go to the NOAA's website, you will find out that will take up most of South Louisiana, will be underwater. And if we continue to pump these greenhouse gases, it's not going to look good for us, and we cannot continue this foolish exercise. I'm joined this afternoon by General Honore, who knows a lot about hurricanes and hurricane recovery. We've seen that we cannot continue doing this thing if we want to have a sustainable and livable planet. The greenhouse gases that are already being emitted by these facilities are on the front lines of people's homes. People live right next to these facilities where they're proposing them. We already are overburdened. We already have communities that are living right next to petrochem facilities that are already damaging the water and the air. Our water here is under a seafood advisory. You're only supposed to eat so much fish per month, only 2 meals, half a pound apiece. And that's the direct cause of pollution. So I'd like to invite General Honore to come and speak now. Thanks, sir.
Well, thanks very much for coming and helping to share this story with the people who live here in Southwest Louisiana. 17 years ago, in a couple of weeks, Hurricane Rita came through here. It came through on a Saturday morning, as I recall, and by 12 o'clock Saturday, I was in Lake Charles at the courthouse. surrounded by water. And most of the trees in downtown St. Charles had been fallen over from the wind, and the electricity was out. And from Lake Charles, after meeting with the parish president and the mayor of Lake Charles at the time, I went on to Campbell Parish. And little did I know, some years later, 2 years ago, we'd have 4 nationally declared disasters come through Campbell Parish and through Lake Calcasieu Parish that were not only so significant, it reduced the level of the population in the community because of the impact of the storms that happened here 2 years ago. So 17 years ago, in between we had Gustav, and 2 years ago we had 4 national declared disasters within a few month period. Something telling me we were in a heavy, high alert zone for hurricanes. Is that what it's telling me? That the hurricanes have a propensity to come up the Calcasieu River from Cameron. Well, when we look at this from a safety risk assessment, as I was trained to do in the military, what that tells me is we're putting some of the most potentially dangerous plants in the world inside a hurricane disaster zone. As proven by the fact that as we speak today, we have many people still living with blue tarps. We have plants that have not come back on full capacity. Because of the impact of us losing our Gulf, our wetlands down in Calcasieu, in Cameron and Vermilion Parish, the storms come in stronger because the water in the Gulf is hotter because of global warming. But when we look at what's creating that global warming, it's attributed to many of the new plants, particularly LNG plants, that will come in and emit more methane, which cause and attribute more to the heating of the Gulf and the strength of the storms as they come in the coast. When we looked at the predictions from Laura and what they were predicting, 6 to 9 foot surge, I said, Lordy, Lordy, we're going to be in trouble as Shania. When you look at the elevation of where that LNG plant is built, the location is built, and the prediction of the surge. But thank God it moved a little bit, as I recall, to the east, and spared the worst of what that could have been had Laura come in at full strength with the amount of surge water they were predicting. I say this to tell you that LNG plants that are being built in this area are not being built for the good of the United States. They're being built to sell our natural gas overseas. Most of the companies that own these LNG plants are not Louisiana companies. They're either owned by a bunch of Wall Street tycoons or they're owned by foreign countries. They come to Louisiana because we allow them to build LNG plants. They come to Louisiana because we have natural gas. Natural gas is then taken and turned into LNG so it can be shipped. And some 8 to 10 years ago, when our government in Washington decided that it was okay for American companies to sell LNG overseas, they crippled the state of Louisiana. And when you say, well, why did it do that? How did that happen, General? Because it takes natural gas to create LNG. We take natural gas, turn it to LNG so it can be shipped overseas. And when the people in Washington approved that, it raised the price of what it costs us in Louisiana to heat and cool our homes. Because we now have to buy natural gas competing with the LNG market that we don't use. We do not use LNG in the United States of America.
Amen.
We do not use LNG in the United States of America. One of the most recent companies, while the Speaker of the House was dodging Chinese planes, signed a 25-year contract with China to provide them LNG made in Louisiana. Tell me if that makes sense. These companies do not have Calcasieu and Cameron and Louisiana as a part of their objective.
That's right.
They're using us. They're driving up the price of what it costs us to heat and cool our homes because they want to take the natural gas and ship it overseas and make 10 times as much as they could selling natural gas in the United States. Does everybody understand that?
Yeah.
And they're building the LNG plants inside the hurricane zone. How do I know? I Googled it, and there were 4 natural disasters right where they want to build the hurricane zone. That's just about as stuck on stupid as I think we can get. And oh, by the way, an LNG plant, go look at Freeport, right over in Texas. It was an island. It's still closed. And thank God not many people were hurt or injured. But an LNG plant is a very dangerous plant. And you can expect a fireball if one of us to lose power in the storm, lose its capacity. 2 things going to happen. They're going to release all that LNG into the air, which is then reverse back to methane, or it's going to blow up. And the power for an LNG plant potentially blowing up could have a fireball 2 to 3 miles away from it. Let me ask you this. The next thing they're going to do is the parish will give the company a tax break. And they won't have to pay taxes. When they build an LNG plant in Texas, there are no tax breaks for school systems. If they're going to create jobs, that means more kids may come here and have to go to school. Who's going to build those schools if the parish give away tax breaks? Who's going to improve the roads if the parish give away road tax? Who's going to hire enough sheriffs and police, and who's going to put the fire department in to protect that plant if they give all the benefits of a plant coming into a parish that might increase the tax rate? There's no company here benefit from this other than people who provide labor. And much of the workers come from Texas. Yeah. Let's face it. So we're building places for Texas people to come work. We give them tax breaks. And they ship the LNG overseas. And when they do that, they raise the price of our heating and cooling. It also is a disadvantage to the boys across the river in Westlake. Because when they built South African oil, Sasol, and they expanded the other plants in a few years ago, they were paying 3 something for natural gas. Now they're paying 9. Why they're paying 9 is because natural gas is being spotted on the global market, not on the local market. Because the LNG price drives the price of natural gas. So those companies that said they were going to expand and hire more people, they probably won't now, because the cost of natural gas is going up. But the biggest perspective is, there's a good reason Disneyland isn't built in Calcasieu Parish. Okay? There's a good reason we don't launch the spaceships from Calcasieu Parish. But we do a lot of good things in Calcasieu Parish.
That's right.
We provide resources for the world. There are people putting gas in their car because of Calcasieu and Cameron Parish. There are people that are turning their stoves on and it's going to come on because of Calcasieu and Cameron Parish. There are people that's going to go sanitize the pool tomorrow because the product's made in Calcasieu Parish. We've sacrificed our air and our water for the world. And what we get in return? It's not only a few years ago the Calcasieu Parish government had to go out for a bond to do what? To repair the schools. That was between hurricanes. Because we got all the construction that go on, but we give away all the tax, local tax that could be used for infrastructure. And we're doing this inside a hurricane zone. Ladies and gentlemen, I do mean to preach. This is a crying damn shame.
Amen.
That we're allowing these companies, foreign based, come here, build along the Calcasieu River. They're going to dredge it out. And guess what? They're going to dredge it out. When a Category 4 storm comes, that water is going to pass through Calcasieu Parish, and they're going to South Boulevard. It's going up as far as it can. And the whole damn city is going to flood. And all those plants on the other side is going to flood when they drain that damn river. So they can make bigger ships in to take that LNG out. You watch what I'm telling you. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope I'm wrong. But we've seen what Mother Nature has done in this parish and in Cameron Parish before. And in Cameron Parish was the first one to get a big LNG. Is there big, beautiful new schools in Cameron Parish? Do they have a 4-lane road down there? Huh?
Yep.
After Laura, it took them almost a year to get electricity. But the plant was running. What good has that done to people in Cameron Parish? I'm just telling you, it's a dilemma. And people here need to be aware that there's a safety concern building inside the hurricane zone. There's a safety concern when you go to FERC that manage these LNG plants in the city. What are the safety standards for the LNG plant? They tell you, go check with the LNG plant. When you go to the LNG plant, say, tell us your safety standards. What's your standoff for buildings and homes in major metropolitan area? What's your response plan for a tidal surge of 10-foot water coming into your place? What's your impact if you have a series of lightning that hit your plant? They can't tell you. They send you back to FERC. Our local governments are writing off on this. Our state governments are writing off on this. And when the stuff hit the fan, who suffers? The people of Lake Charles. Right. The people of Cameron Parish. And we're sucking it up for companies in Texas and in Japan who own these damn LNG plants and the people on Wall Street. They don't live here. You with me? They don't live here. They suck off our natural resources and ship it overseas. And they make big money on it. And as a result of selling LNG, it drives up the price of natural gas. I can't overstate that. Now, the local people, what can you do about it? We can demand that the parish government ensure that we got safety procedures, that they're standoff distance, and that the elevation of these plants, that they got redundancy in their power sources, and that the people get warned if there's going to be a major release. Because I'm telling you, the danger of these plants is significant. All they're going to tell you is how it's going to improve the economy. Whose economy? Japan? The Texas? They sure the hell ain't doing nothing for the economy here. Is it? Do you have the good schools here?
Nope.
No.
Not at all.
Do you have good roads?
No.
Have you got recovered from the last storm?
No.
No.
So what the hell are we talking about? Who is this good for? I just think it's important that we inform the people, and the people go to the government. This is a democracy.
Right.
And demand that the local parish government and the state government explain to the people what are the safety concerns. People here don't need to be explained. They saw what Laura did with 150-mile-an-hour wind. Tell us what's going to happen if you get hit with 100. Tell us what's going to happen if you get a 9-foot surge. And how we're going to protect the people in the community. Tell us the impact of dredging that river. You with me? Mm-hmm. Tell us the impact of why you have to get so close to the community. Because when that plant goes on the west bank, It could take out plants further up north, like Sitco, and plants in Westlake. This is serious. And that's why I'm here today. Speaking of safety, driving on Interstate 10 coming here was a real sporting event to me.